Good morning. Welcome to the Solution Finders. Today I am with Erwin, who creates bright and colorful illustrations, murals, and art inspired by aquatic life. Hi, Erwin. How are you?
Hi, Una. How are you? It's good to be here.
Good. So your website is called A Duck Amuck.
Yes.
Where is that name from?
Uh, yeah. I actually, so I'm an illustrator now, sort of by profession, but I've been drawing sort of all my life, and for a while when I started uh getting back into becoming an illustrator. I started drawing a lot, and I draw a lot of fish now, but I was drawing a lot of birds at the time, and it was birds that are found themselves in sort of very human situations, like they were birds going to work, or birds going shopping, or birds getting into trouble. And so when I was trying to find a name for that series, um, the 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 um, the name A Duck Amuck, birds, ducks, A Duck Amuck came to me, and I really liked just the idea of sort of the wordplay, the sort of a little bit of chaos, but sort of how cute it sounded, and so that name sort of just stuck, and that's how it all started. So I still go back to birds once in a while, but now I'm drawing more aquatic animals.
Yeah, I know you have lots of a school of fish and
Yeah.
yeah, lots of and yeah, so the inspiration is the ocean a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it goes back a lot to that. I mean, I draw sort of really the, any sort of animals, organic shapes, lots of patterns. So sometimes I'll look to architecture too. Just really, I'm attracted to anything that has um, patterns and sort of structure. But I gravitate to fish in particular. I grew up in the Philippines, so we're just surrounded with sort of lots of bodies of water, um, certainly a lot of seafood in our cuisine. So it's just like it's just really all around us. And when I was a kid, I got to go on a beach vacation with my family, and I had a chance to go scuba diving in the southern part of the Philippines. And it was just beautiful, coral reefs and lots of bright colored fish. And it was a really memorable experience. And that's what I should try to draw from um, when I create anything that I do now.
Cool. And then, like now you live north of New York City.
Yeah, so in the suburbs just north of New York City in Westchester. Yeah.
Cool.
We still have water here. It's just different, so there's rivers. I'm not too far from a river, which is also I've only been here for about 3 years, and there's a whole other different sort of ecosystem of fish and sort of life that um lives in that river. It's called the Hudson River. And so I'm trying to incorporate a lot of those sort of animals into what I'm doing now too.
And then now you are like working in the community a lot in your local community.
Yeah, just as an artist, and part of the mission I have with my art practice and with the Duck Amuck is really to create art that inspires people to be creative and to connect within themselves to their inner artist. I believe that everyone is um, has a sort of a well of creativity within them, whether that um, manifests as being an artist, sort of in the fine arts, performing arts, whatever, or they're creative in whatever other way. They're problem solvers in their office, or they're artisans. They're working with like everyone has a is creative in some way, and I like to create work that sort of just inspires that, or if it's blocked, to unblock it and get people back in touch with it. And also to make art, I want to make art that connects people to their community. So, bring you in touch with yourself, but also just connect everyone with each other. So, yeah, that's an extension of my work. Um, and it's, I try to create things that are either maybe like communal art where everyone can come together and make art, or maybe create art that is for the public, like a mural or something like that, that everyone can enjoy together, or partnering with um, events that are out in the community. So I'll try to support them by like, making an event poster or designing merch or things like that. So those are that idea of community and connection informs a lot of the decisions I make within my business and my art.
So, for example, you did like, what is the thing you really like about it? Like doing workshops or...
Um, I I mean I like them all. I think I like them all in different ways. Um, Workshops are fun because I think I get to see immediately firsthand that sort of transformative power of um, people just unlocking, maybe even like just connecting with art that they've made, and they come a lot of times, these are all sort of free public workshops that we do that are just out, and it's just random people come, they see a tent, they're like, oh, what's happening? Let me come over. Um, and you never know what sort of background they're coming into that with. Some are like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. No thanks. But some people are like, oh, I'm gonna come sit down and do all this. But there are times when even the people who are hesitant to do it, you convince them in some way. And next thing you know, 10 minutes later, they're still there. They've lost themselves in it. They found it, they're really getting into it. And at the end, they'll say, oh, wow, I'm glad I did that. Or, oh, that was great. And it's sort of just like that unlocking that or seeing that transformation. If it's coming from a place where they didn't think they were an artist, someone told them they weren't, or something happened, or sometimes it's just people who maybe are starved for time and or haven't been able to create opportunities in their own life to just sit down and make art. And then there's this thing where they just made a decision to take 5 minutes out of their day to come and make something. So I love that about the workshops. Although I don't I'm self-taught, so a lot of my um I have some things to sort of work on as far as how to um share my process, articulate my process in a way that it can be something that people can replicate if they want. So a lot of the workshops that I create now are very much just, here are your supplies, here's what you can do, and go for it. And then I'll offer my suggestions for how to problem solve if there's things that they're, not able to to sort of articulate in their art, as opposed to doing something step by step. Um, And then for murals or sort of big art, I mean, I like that too. I like the making of it, especially if it's outside and in a public space. People come up, have conversations with people. Everything from we're glad to see this new art coming to this wall because this building has been a little decrepit. It needs some new life. I'm glad you're coming. People just tell, there's just people outside, right? They're sharing your stories. You're sort of, I'm kind of stuck, right? I'm I have to do this work. I can't go anywhere. But it's also an opportunity to learn from the people who are going to be seeing that art every day, right? And that's the connection that I always like in general when I make my art. It's no longer mine, right, when it's up, but just knowing who the people are that are going to be seeing it and what they, just who they are, what they do, like how could this artwork possibly change the way they live their daily life. Um, and also it helps give the artwork a face.
Yeah.
Because then, at least for the people who I encounter, they've met the person who made it. And I think that sort of personalizes that experience for them too. Um, yeah, and then for community, uh, I like being able to support other people, other organizers, other leaders who are doing important work. We can't all do everything. So it's when I create artwork for those sort of events and projects and campaigns, I like being able to do my part um, to help. Does that make sense? I mean, I like a little bit of everything, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I seen that you did a mural, but like it was on the floor.
Yeah, yeah. So that was for it's a crosswalk.
Across.
Um, that for right. So that's normally where it's painted out in stripes to designate where people can cross the street safely. And there has been a sort of this not a trend, like this movement specifically around pride, queer pride, where people have painted the crosswalks in rainbow in the colors of the pride flag.
Okay.
So that was an initiative that a town nearby in Wilton, Connecticut, um, their pride organization. This is the second year they've done it, where they've identified 4 crosswalks in the town to be painted with in a pride theme using designs from the community. And so when I saw the call for that, I submitted my design, and fortunate for me, they picked mine, and so we were able to paint that. And volunteers actually came, people in the community came to do the painting. I sort of outlined it on the sidewalk, and it was great. And the same thing. It was great to see people come and sort of uh, do their part. So for the folks who um, might use that crosswalk later on, it'll probably only be up for a year. So they can say, oh, I helped paint that, or I was here when that happened.
Yeah.
And some of those people were not, they didn't consider themselves artists,
Yeah.
but, they could paint within the lines, one color, with the brush I gave them, a little encouragement. So yeah, that was a great experience too.
Nice. And that reminds me of Keith Haring.
Yeah,
I seen a couple of exhibitions of his work, and like he died in '89, I think. But
yeah,
his in his exhibition there was so much nice things, and it was a lot about the community, about him painting walls and painting with children, and so it looks like you're doing something similar. So cool.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly am inspired by his work, and he's very prolific. He was very talented, clearly. Also stood for a lot. I mean, his work is significantly more political than mine. At least just at the base. Um, but yeah, I appreciate the comparison. Yeah, and he lived, he was based in New York City in his adult life, so there are still some of his work around that I'll see every so often if I'm in Manhattan, and that's always sort of refreshing um, to see.
Yeah, yeah, so cool. And you were saying you are self-taught. But
Yeah,
you do different studies. You didn't study art.
yeah, yeah. I went to school for I ended up going to school for in Los Angeles, where I grew where yeah in Southern California, where I spent my sort of my college years. I studied economics and Spanish literature.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one of those where like, oh, let's just find something to study. But I was really interested in journalism is what I wanted to do. But the school that I went to did not have a journalism program. Um, And I think looking back now, I was very interested in storytelling and crafting something around a reality, right? Like how do you convey report, how do you find facts, think about what you want to say and then say it. um Looking back now, I think that's what I was really, that was the root of it. But yeah, but school was not related to that at all.
Right.
And then not until later, if my yeah, if I did any sort of self-teach, I'll take classes every so often, figure drawing, whatever, you learn about perspective and composition, layout. Um, but a lot of my even self-teaching is really around more like the business side, like how you and I met, right? Um, the creative sort of Thursday sort of community,
Yeah.
which should be more around that.
Yeah. And now you are still editing for tennis, like you're still writing.
Yeah, so I do have a couple of that was for a while my sort of full-time job. I was a freelance tennis like content person. I edited websites for tennis tournaments. I was freelance writing for a couple of publications. I was doing social media content for tournaments as well. So just really, in that space in various different sort of capacities. And it's still a personal interest of mine. I was a fan of professional tennis even before I started playing, and certainly before I started working in it. And now I have a couple of sort of clients that I still, you know, work with, um, and I just follow it um, on my own. I don't know. Do you follow tennis?
Not really.
No. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's not for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, no, just yeah, let's say randomly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that like you wanted to do the storytelling and you did it. You're doing it with the tennis, yeah, like with that.
Yeah. And I,
No.
I did it with that. It's with words, certainly. And I did did that, but now I feel like it feels more sort of natural to me when I'm doing it through images
Yeah.
rather than words. So I feel like I'm still doing storytelling now, but just with right my own cast of sort of the characters, the animals, the illustrations that I do. Yeah, I feel like that's sort of the really the through line of um, how I got to where I am now.
And so you're doing a lots of different products as well in your like online shop, and you do markets. You go to markets as well.
Yeah, I'm not doing as many markets now, but yeah, I do have some products still. I started with greeting cards um, and some art prints. And that's actually how all of this started is it was one of my sister's birthdays. So this would have been 13 years ago. And I couldn't find a card for her that I liked. So I decided to make one.
Oh, nice.
And I actually still have that design as one of my sort of better selling cards. It's a birthday card. It's a fish wearing a party hat, and it says, "Happy birthday." It's very straightforward. Um, but yeah, since then, we've done sort of like a lot of the other sort of makers we know, stickers, keychains, shirts, things like that. So every so often, I'll I certainly still have my shop. It's not my main focus now, um, but I still have. I'm still sort of my shop is still active, and I still create things every so often. More so now, I'm focusing on if I do create product, I try to do it for a specific sort of community event or a project. Like I did one with that town where we painted the crosswalk. So we did. Uh, do you want to see? I think I
Yes.
have. Let's see. This actually just came in. So these are I use like a print on demand service. So the concept, the Pride Festival for their town, it's called Be Yourself, or sorry, Be You, Be You. And so when I heard that, I thought bees, like the insects. So I designed this.
Yeah, nice.
It's just some bees, just like a pollinator kind of stuff. And the bottom, there's just some text about the event. So this was also it started as a coloring sheet that I designed for them. I was like, okay, you're gonna have this festival. You'll probably have a table off to the side for the kids. It's a family friendly event. Why don't we make a coloring sheet that people can work on? And I colored it in, and then so we made this shirt. And then as a just for me as a I love kind of making little collections based on sort of designs I've made. So we also turned it into this is a tote.
Bag.
We've got a notebook. This one's just a snail. This bee in the back.
Beautiful.
Cat, because BU in the back.
Yeah. This one is stitched.
Yeah, it's embroidered. That was fine.
Embroidered.
And then I'm able to fit this in a hole. And it's a beach towel. I'm gonna move back a little bit.
Oh, nice.
And then it says, oh, I'm gonna try it. It says BU in the bottom. Do you see it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah, here
yeah.
it is.
Yeah. So that was fun. So that's actually I'm going to list that on my website too, and sort of promote it on social media a little bit.
Yeah, it's really nice. BU, like the play on word.
Yeah.
And with the cards, you did as well. You did a series of cards like in Tagalog and English.
Yeah, yeah. So I am like we were talking about earlier. I'm from the Philippines, and so I am involved a little bit with the Filipino American community here too in New York. And about 2 years ago, one of the sort of the community leaders here started a market um, that was to promote to the Filipino culture and promote small businesses um, that are owned by Filipino Americans. And so I had a chance to be a part of that. And it just it served as a prompt for me to be like, how do I sort of create work that can uh, combine sort of my sort of just my art, my cultural background, but also how important it is to me that my art can help people connect. Right. And I think just in general, like greeting card stationery does help that because you're writing someone a message, you're giving it to someone, right? You're acknowledging an occasion, a milestone, sort of a moment, whatever that is, happy or sad. And I wanted to take this a little further by addressing um, maybe people who have are are in the Filipino culture, but are also um, in American or in the States. So I designed a line of bilingual cards. So each card has, say it's a birthday card, it'll have and it'll say happy birthday in English, but then it'll also say, happy birthday in Filipino.
Yeah.
And I did that for a few different occasions. Um, yeah, and especially here, well, I mean, like anywhere, sort of in a sort of very sort of immigrant sort of community, there are a lot of times, or I've met a lot of like say Filipinos who maybe don't speak Filipino, like they were born in the U.S., right? Maybe their parents, grandparents, or even older were the ones who moved here, and so they identify people now they identify as Filipino, but maybe they don't speak the language. But so a lot of times, people were buying these cards to say, "Oh, I'm going to send this to, you know, a relative, and they're going to love it." Or, I've had people say, "Oh, I have a coworker who's Filipino. They're going to love it." But the person buying it doesn't speak Tagalog, right? So there was just a way of creating a connection um, for people, and yeah, that was fun. That was fun to design.
I see you design as well a map of New York with all the.
Yeah, that was I mean, I love maps too, just in general. So I had been talking to a friend of mine, actually she's based in California, who she brought me on for that project. It was to create a map of New York City that highlighted Filipino sort of restaurants and bars. And we did that as a project to promote um, there was a musical on Broadway last year called Here Lies Love, and it was based on the fictional sort of representation of the life of a first lady from the Philippines, Imelda Marcos. And it was the first Broadway musical, I think, that was based on sort of like a Filipino story with Filipino actors. So it was a very sort of like a big deal for the community. And as part of this, just this support around that to help, just make it successful, make it an event. There was this group, Philam Arts, out of California that decided to make this map or commission this map. So the idea was you're going to come to the city to see this show, but either before or after, why don't you go, eat some food, go drink somewhere, and sort of make it a whole experience, a whole experience of like Filipino culture. So that was a fun map to make as well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Was it nice to work on it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there were actually some businesses there that I hadn't heard of. So that was nice for me because then it gave me a chance to visit um, other Filipino restaurants, and I hadn't made a map before um, as a sort of a client project. So that was a nice exercise as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. And I see you did a collaboration in on different products. Like for example, I seen with the necklaces, uh,
Hmm.
and it looks a little bit like there was lots of really collaboration in the sense, lots of talking with the other collaborators, working together. Was it How was it for the necklaces, for example? And I seen with the plates and mugs as
With the
well.
ceramics, yeah.
Mix.
Um, I like just as a part of my practice, I like just seeing my work in sort of just I feel like I have a universe, for lack of a better word, of my work. Like I want to see it just everywhere. And I'm always trying to just imagine what, my art would look like as X, Y, or Z. Like just this exercise for me of what just the BU products that I showed you, like that was me thinking, okay, like how would my designs work in a collection of just accessories, right? Beach towel, tote bag, um, embroidered hat. Um, but I also think about, okay, how would it look if it were a piece of jewelry or if it were on ceramics? or if someone wanted to design like a playground or an amusement park or whatever, right? So it's all that, and I don't think that way. I mean, artistically, I'm like I draw 2D on paper, and with like a Sharpie. That's basically what I do. So I I like to work with other people who have whatever it is, a similar vibe or really like my work, and I like just a mutual sort of admiration. And yeah, we try to I try to see what we can come up with, and a lot of it is here's my work. I showed them my work, and then we try to come up with usually they're the subject matter experts, like for the necklace. I actually found them on Etsy, so it was more like a commission. But I said, okay, here are two of my creatures. Can you help me turn these into a necklace? So it was laser cut acrylic sheets, and we worked on choosing color, um, and they solved for different techniques for like how to draw scales on the back of an alligator, or things like that. So that was it's fun. And same with the ceramics, where I don't really know how to use clay, right? Or I don't know how it behaves. You have to put it in a kiln. You have to use certain types of glazes depending on what kind of finish you want. So I rely on, or I'm sorry, I lean on, sort of my creative partners there to help me um, bring those ideas to life. But it's certainly very much a collaboration. Like again, for the necklaces, I mean, I paid them, but we worked together on doing a mini launch, a launch of the sort of a limited edition run of the necklaces. So I feel like it was still a collaboration at the end, and definitely with the ceramics, we're in it sort of 50-50.
And with the ceramics, you draw on top of you draw it
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah. I mean, that's the sort of the process that we are at now. So they give me the Bisqueware, sort of like the once fired piece, and then I right now I'm taking a pencil. Essentially, it's like dry paint, dry glaze, and I draw on the plate. Then eventually we'll explore other ways to apply my images. And we could carve, we could, you know, I could use a brush. Um, and so yeah, there's certainly other things that we can do, but for now, I'm keeping it very, very simple. Like instead of drawing on paper, I'm just drawing on, a plate.
And the way you create, normally like create on a sketchbook, and then
Yeah, so I do it two different ways now. So I initially just started on, paper with pen, but now with, iPad, with tablets, sometimes it's easier to start work digital, but those are the two that I use now. Yeah.
so on iPad you use do you use a particular app or
I use Fresco.
Fresco? Okay.
Yeah. So I yeah, I know a lot of people I know use Procreate, but for whatever reason, I just started with Fresco first. I figured I was like, I'm already I'm already paying Adobe a lot of money. I was like, I don't need to try to do something else.
Ah, yeah. Ah, okay, it's in the Creative Cloud.
Yes, yes, it is. I mean, there are. I think it's sort of equal to Procreate now. I felt like for a very long time, Procreate had a lot more um, features that made it very easy to do a lot of things for sort of entry level, sort of like commercial artists, like people like me. But I think now they've sort of become equal. But what I love about Fresco is that you create work in it's essentially in vector.
Okay.
So with Procreate, I think it's like raster, right? So when you start you have to decide at the very beginning how big you want to make your canvas because that will affect, right, the resolution and the quality of your final work. And I have a little bit more leeway when I use Fresco. It's not perfect, but yeah.
Good to know, because I just came back to the Creative Cloud because I was just using Premiere for a while.
Okay.
Premiere and Photoshop, and in the end,
Okay.
it's cheaper to have the whole Creative Cloud than have a Premiere and Photoshop, and
Yeah.
then it expands to like more than 20 different things.
Yeah.
So can try and use them and learn about
Well,
them.
do you draw digital now? Do you do any kind of digital drawing now, or what is your process?
Yeah, not at the moment because I with origami,
It's just you're working.
with my hands, like I'm doing them,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'm sketching something before, but often I just have an idea, and I just go directly with the paper and
Got
the
it.
canvas.
Okay.
Uh, and recently, I restarted to draw with pencils, with color crayons,
Wow.
and that's really, and actually both the origami and coloring with pencils, it's from when I was a kid. It's just going back there and to enjoy that creativity, I think.
Yeah, that's great. That's so exciting. Yeah, I love hearing that, right? Like just making art for the sake of making it. Like it's not for whatever, it's not for sale, it's not for there's no goal other than just to do it and to play and to explore. Yeah, it's great. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, and then sometimes it's really like um, I called it recently like an inspiration hit.
Okay.
Just say, okay, okay, I have to do it now. I have to do it now. So just putting all the pieces together. I like, yeah, then my process is doing lots of little things. I can show you. Like lots of little, this one is written, lots of little stars like that. And then put them all together, and it can
Mm-hmm.
become something like this, glued to a canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really like folding, gluing. That's the main thing, folding and gluing.
Mm-hmm.
Then actually, an origami basically there's no glue, but like, yeah, here I'm gluing to canvases.
Right, right.
But then it's nice to see, like, to see for you as well, like how you have different ideas. I think, like, how will it work with that, with this medium, that medium, and for me as well, like I'm thinking about adding light. Like for example, when I see it in exhibition, I seen it. But recently, actually, I sold one, and it was a big artwork, and it was exhibited in a cafe. It was very nice environment, nice that people could see it. It could just be in a social environment
Mm-hmm.
and see the art as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't like the lighting in that space, the lighting on the artwork. So I thought that in the future I would like to be in charge of the lighting and maybe even have a moving lighting, because especially with things that are a little bit 3D, it really, like, the shadows change with the moving light.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting to solve for, right? Um, yeah, and if that were me, I'd be like, okay, who is my lighting engineer, my lighting technician person? Because it certainly won't be me. Right? Like who do I know in my network who's game to like be like, okay, like Una wants, right, like this spotlight that changes so you can see shadows, and maybe it just changes with the time of day, or it's on a certain timer where it changes every whatever 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So
Yeah.
anyone who's sitting at a cafe can can see it all happen in the time that they're sitting there, having their
Yeah.
coffee. That's cool.
Yeah, I would love that. And it becomes an installation.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It does. It
Yeah, and I was
does.
thinking about music as well. The thing yeah, and then that would be a collaboration because I'm not a musician. And yeah, like giving an experience in the end to people because for me, like having the art all the time with me, I know that in the morning it looks different than in the evening because that's
Hmm.
this three-dimensionality. But someone who sees it for 5 minutes, that they may not understand that. And
Hmm.
I was just googling lights that move with music, and there's all these things, kind of discotheque-like things that I
Oh
could
yeah, I
play
mean,
with.
I mean, it's all. I think that technology is all. It's all there.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, some of it might be sort of just out of the box, and some of it you'll have to have maybe someone, just tweak for you just for a
yeah,
little bit. But that would be a fun, I think that would be a fun project, maybe, like a long-term project to work on, right? Like, or identifying a space. And then because a lot of it will have to be, I imagine, space specific,
yeah,
right? Unless it's like a self-contained thing. But I imagine if you want lights, lights will be right, maybe on the ceiling or like across or something, right? And then like, you know, how is the music piped in if there is music or that's super exciting. There's a lot of there's so much possibility, right?
yeah,
And are you like only lighting one? Is it lighting for one, or are they multiple pieces together? Big pieces, small pieces.
yeah.
I think that's so cool.
And it reminds me when I was a video editor a few years ago.
Okay.
In the video games industry, and yeah, actually we were working with the character Sonic,
Okay.
and so with the video editing team, we went to an exhibition. It was for the 25th year of anniversary of Sonic. So artists were there was like 10, 15 artists who made normally a painting, some sculptures of Sonic. And it was this gallery full of all these artworks. And I spent the whole day there and I seen how the different artworks were interacting to each other, like one would cast a shadow to the other one. There was one with
Ah.
neon lights, so you could see the neon lights on the next artwork. So I was taking pictures and even starting to interview I was interviewing the artists in the end. I was given the questions, but then I
Hmm.
added one of mine because I was kind of immersed in the art the whole day.
Yeah.
And so maybe the podcast started from that kind of thing. I say, I want to ask questions.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's great. So what was the question you asked? Or yeah, or maybe what's the one that, you know,
Yeah,
that's stuck out to you?
I was asking about their own art. One, for example, really like I was saying, like your art is casting is this light, so it's casting light to the other one, is really interacting with the other one, and uh, another one about the movement that we really like. Your art is really, it looks really like the character is moving very fast. Um, so actually, yeah, it was good because then I edited all the content and I kept quite a lot of those new questions, like their answers, because it was more
Hmm.
personal for them uh, to answer.
Great.
They were a little bit more excited to answer to that. And yeah, it was a great experience for me, and it was like starting to say, hey, maybe I want to be an artist too as well.
So that was that before you were you'd come back to the origami, or then before you started your paper folding?
Yeah, it was
Whoa.
kind of yeah. I was kind of starting, but particularly for me, and I realized that recently, doing my origami art is really related to my family, in the sense that my mom taught me origami when I was I would say about 5 years old, and she would do mobiles when I was very small, no? So like like the mobile on my bed to look at when I was a baby, stuff like that, with origami. And so she would do her own origami, like cards with a little origami stuck to it,
I love that.
and then I started to do origami myself, and it helped me to calm down as well, to
Okay.
relax. Um, and then when I had my children, I did the same. I did some decoration in the bedroom for my first child, my second, and I was at that point, I just had like two small children doing that interview to the artists. And then some way, probably around, yeah, when my children were small, I started to stock them to canvases. That was probably 2017, 18.
Okay.
So,
Great.
so yeah, it came from, I don't know, from that going back to that comfort, I think, of being children and like my childhood. And yeah,
Yeah. And passing it on, right? It's like you passed on sort of that tradition almost to your from what your mom
yeah,
doing it for you, right? And then you uh passing it on to your children.
children. That they are not really doing them, but actually they did some artworks with me. When I was doing the artworks, I had lots of stars hanging out, and they would say, well, can I have my own canvas? And they will do,
Oh,
they, they did do a few. We had them up. They did.
yeah. I love that. It's like they're doing it, yeah, they're doing it with you. That's great.
Yeah. And other artists you like, do you like to go to be inspired by watching exhibitions or other things?
I do. Um, there are two in particular that in it I've recently seen that have really sort of um, moved me. I think and I don't know what it maybe it's just like we're getting so much just like so many stimulating things, the news cycle, social media, and all that. But it sometimes I feel like it's hard for me to feel like to see either like original work or just stuff that's in like in that romantic kind of just like it takes a lot now to feel like I'm like stirred and sort of moved and compelled to be like to feel something about art. But there's two recently that have really made me feel like, man, like that's what I want to do, or like that's great, or like why didn't I think of that? I think that's like my measure. It's like why didn't I think of that? Like or, I wish I thought of that. So not jealous that like I want it, but more like that's where I want to be, right? Like I feel like that's where I'm that's the kind of work I want to make. Anyway, so the first one is there is a movement or now sort of a campaign to turn in the New York City subways, the subway system. There are a lot of there used to be a lot of newsstands in the subway on the subway level. People selling newspapers, cigarettes, chewing gum, whatever, lottery tickets. But as people just didn't have the need for that anymore, those spaces just got shuttered. and without anything really replacing them. So the MTA, sort of the organization that runs the subway, has started, which has a very strong art program. You know, they decorate all the subways, they do all this both in the subway cars and the stations. So they started this program where they have solicited applications from people to use those newsstands as exhibition spaces. And one of them that got approved and installed was um, it was still a newsstand, but it was run by a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a dinosaur.
Yeah.
And everything, I'll send you a link after this so you can take a look, but everything um, in the newsstand was dinosaur themed. So they reimagined everything. Like if you look at the newspaper, the name of the newspaper has a word, play on words that's dinosaur related. The let's just say like the headline is, the comet is coming, right? And then there's the names of the cigarettes and like the potato chip bags and the chewing gum, and there's like ads that are posted on the wall, about, whatever service or, party. Everything was that, just every little thing. There was nothing left to sort of chance. Everything was so carefully thought of. And I actually haven't gone to see it myself. I've been meaning to do that. But I was just like, that is amazing. Like I want to do that. So that's one. Um, and the other is one of the projects that I'm working on is I worked on the event poster for uh, River Keeper, which is a local organization advocating for the health of the Hudson River. Again, I mentioned it earlier, sort of the big body of water near me here. And as part of this event that's raising awareness for how many fish use that Hudson River as a path for migration, for the survival of the species, the health and survival of all those fish. Um, they're celebrating that by creating a flotilla of boats that will go from New York City to this point in Westchester, just to, day of celebration, awareness, all that. But there's an artist that they've worked with to transform one of the boats. This is a massive boat into one of the fish.
Oh, nice.
So he's created, and he's a puppeteer, I think, sort of by trade, but he's created all these. I mean, I don't even know what they're made out of. Cardboard, paper mache, could be a combination of all that stuff. But he's turned, like, using different pieces. He's gonna attach all these things to this boat and turn it into this big floating fish, just floating down the Hudson.
Nice.
And so they shared sort of behind the scenes video of it the other day, and I was just like, oh my God, like that. I was like, amazing.
Yeah.
And his name is Greg Corbino, that I know. Yeah. So anyway, so those are two sort of art, an artist, and sort of the other, I should know the name of the artist working on the dinosaur store. But yeah, those are the ones that are inspiring me right now.
Yeah, they inspire you. Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and so that's what it is. It's like a lot of either sort of universe, world building like the dinosaur store, or sort of just like big, um, kind of sort of imaginative and creative work. Those are the things that really move me and inspire me. Um, and I feel like I haven't really either I haven't seen it before, or I can tell that there's a lot of like um, things done by hand where you can just see the artist's hand in what it is that they're building.
Nice. And that inspires you to make your own project for the subway and things like that?
Not necessarily the subway. I mean, I would love to. I think maybe in a different form, not like that. I mean, just maybe like a mural or some artwork in the subway itself. No, I think it inspires me to um just kind of to stay creative. I think part of it is that is like it's nice for me. It like reassures me maybe that art like that can still be sort of commercial or sort of like rewarded in a way where like it can be chosen to be part of the MTA's art program, right? Like that dinosaur thing. Or like who gets to turn a boat into a fish? Like I guess someone's, looking and it happens. Like, oh, maybe like later on I can do that for one of my fish, right? Not in that same way, but like that there's just it's just nice to see that there's innovation that's still being rewarded, I
Yeah.
guess, and has a space sort of in our current world where everyone just it's very sort of very cynical way to look at it, but everything's just like watered down. Everything's like lowest common denominator. Everyone just seems things like it's just cookie cutter and how can we make this sort of cheap and fast and quick and whatever, maybe like AI produced, right? So but these two things just seem very like deliberate, slow, intentional.
Yeah.
And so I think that's how it inspires me and moves me.
But it reminds me again, Keith Haring, who
Mm-hmm.
started in a subway, but like he was like against the law. He was
Right, yeah, he was doing graffiti, yeah, like tagging. Yeah,
doing
yeah, yeah.
graffiti. He was going to prison once in a while. He was being catched, and and the other. But then when he was famous, he did playgrounds. He
Hmm.
did a decoration for I think a hospital in Monaco, a
Hmm.
hospital for children. Lots of things. It was super prolific.
Yeah,
And then he did like he was drawing on the clothes of the stars like
yeah,
Madonna.
yeah.
I remember there was a super famous video clip with Grace
Wasn't it
Jones.
like Grace
Grace
Jones?
Jones
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with
That's right.
this skirt. It was a huge. I think
Yeah.
he did that. Um, yeah, it was so cool how it was like in all these different. But it was really a community of artists and celebrities, um, and he was into that. So he would work with these different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's exciting to try different things, and yeah, I hope you find your boat or something in the future too.
It'll happen. It's not on my vision board yet. I should add that. I'll make a little space um for it. So the event is in it's like in 10 days. So I'm actually, I'm gonna go find a space somewhere by the water to watch the boats sort of float, float by. And I'll take some pictures of that and put it on my vision board for sure.
Yeah, I look forward to see it. And I just seen recently in London there's canals, there's Regent's
Hmm.
Canal, I think it was there, and I was just looking at the boats. There's boats, barges, and people lives into them, or some are even businesses. There was
Hmm.
a spa
Hmm.
boat, and
Hmm.
um, and on top of a boat that I think it was just a house or someone living there. They had like a fake crocodile on top.
Oh,
So oh, that's interesting
yeah.
decoration.
Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very nice. Yeah, it's nice for inspiration as well. Like just walking around. Um, I love London because there's lots of different landscape to it. Like there's the canal that can look like Amsterdam or other cities
Hmm.
with canals. Um, there's parts that are like skyscrapers. There's really modern and actually residential areas in London. They look like villages sometimes. They really look like a small village. And there's lots of
Hmm.
parks, lots of green as well. So there's lots of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where can people find you?
So you can find me on through my website. My website is aduckamuck.com. So ADUCKAMUCK. And I'm also on Instagram, just at Duck Amuck. So there's no A. So it's DUCKAMUCK on Instagram. So those are really the two sort of platforms that I use.
Great. And at the moment you are in exhibitions as well. You have your art in exhibitions.
Yeah, I have a few exhibitions here local to me, some art associations that I'm affiliated with, great sort of local community, art community networks. Yeah, so there are a few, and I have them listed on my website. So I don't know when this is coming out, but there's always a section there. So if you happen to be local and you see this, there's always an updated list there of sort of shows, some of those community events that I'm involved with, and I'll probably do a market or two around the holidays coming up. Well, not coming up, but in 6 months' time. So those will all be listed there.
Okay, great. And you have a newsletter as well, yeah?
Yes, yeah. So you can sign up for that on through my website or through Instagram. I send it out weekly, usually on Tuesdays, with sort of some updates on my work, some behind the scenes um, content from my studio, and I try to really include a little exercise for, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, for people who are just trying to get back to connect with being an artist, for whatever that is. Either you were before and you want to get back to it, or you never you're still trying to figure out your sort of, artist identity. You don't want to call yourself an artist because you don't think, XYZ, all those things, right? Um, to just have like a gentle kind of like, what can I do this week? I have 5 minutes. Let me go do something. Am I going to journal about it? Am I going to color something? Am I just going to sit? Am I going to take notes on, like we were talking, some of the questions you asked me here, like a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about, for anyone, what is the kind of work that inspires you as an artist, and sitting with that, and then thinking how sitting with that and realizing that there are other people who could feel that way about the work that you make.
Mhm. Yeah.
And whatever that does for you, right? Like, does that bring up hope, shame? Is it, does it just make it cool? So exercises, like, it's not usually that deep, but just things where you're like, you're sort of just like sitting with your creativity. So that's just one section that I like to add to just get those artistic juices flowing for people at whatever level you're at.
Yeah, and you do coloring sheets as well.
Yeah, every so often. So like the BU one that I had shown you earlier, I'll probably send that out as part of this upcoming newsletter, just to be in time with Pride. Um, yeah, so lots of little creative um, prompts that I include.
It's a good thing to be in the newsletter, to receive this and to follow the prompts to get
Yeah,
the artistic juices going.
yeah. I mean, I like to think that there's a little bit in it for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. No, actually, they are very entertaining to read. Like I like to read them.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. This conversation was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad we had a chance. We've never really we've been sort of in the same communities for years now, really, in our same online communities, but we haven't really had a chance to talk to each other about our art and our practice. So it was really nice to be able to do that with you today, Una.
Yeah,
Thank you.
for me as well. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you for watching or listening to the Solution Finders. Please like, subscribe, and share so we can inform and inspire more people. If you would like to donate to the podcast, the link is in the description below. All donations go towards paying for software, video editing, and production work. Please visit unamars.com, unamarz.com, for one-to-one sessions with me to reprogram your subconscious mind, for my original origami art and printed products like t-shirts and stationery, for more info about this podcast. If you made it till this point, please add your favorite emoji in the comments. Have a wonderful day.